You're listening to a Rowan Rook and Deckard actual play, and this is Till Death Do Us Part.
This episode is a bonus episode, and we recorded it before the main series. It sets up the characters, the beats and the relationships, and if you're into the dirty, nerdy little details of the system, you're going to enjoy this.
Welcome to the podcast we are presently calling, as of this second, Grooves in the Heart. This is a Heart actual play for my friends at Rowan Rook and Deckard. My name's Kieron Gillen, and I'm joined by lovely people here today. And first thing we'll be doing is doing some character creation. This is actually going to aim to be actually a sort of tutorial, as well as an actual entertaining piece of entertainment. I'm going to go around and ask everyone to sort of introduce yourself. And as an icebreaker question, I would like you to sort of say like your relationship with Heart, and not role-playing games generally. And also, most specifically, if you were trapped in a kind of like 19th century ship in the Arctic with the ice surrounding around you, how would you break through the ice and escape?
Hi, hello, I'm your androgynous android game show host from the future, Nathan Blades, tabletop RPG designer, streamer, voice actor, and general internet ne'er-do-well. I am affiliated with the nature of Heart and Spire because I initially ran into Grant Howitt by seeing him at UK Games Expo and giving him a one-page RPG and saying, I wrote this inspired by one of the games that you did. Can we be friends, please? And since then, I've written a number of very cool things for RRD, so I am always delighted to continue to be involved. If I was trapped on a 19th century ship surrounded by ice, under my own power, or do I have fancy RPG powers? Because I think I would just freeze to death. I hate the cold.
Nathan, I think of all the people I know, you probably have fancy RPG powers.
Okay, yeah. You know, this is a ship that has a whole bunch of other additional mechanical arms to, like, dig into the ice and break it apart. As I'm pulling many levers in the cockpit to, like, maneuver them all. Absolutely.
Hello, my name's Grant Howitt. I wrote Heart. I founded Rowan Rook and Deckard, and I write role-playing games for a living, which is very cool. And if I was stranded in a 19th century boat surrounded by ice, I would simply use a butt stomp or ground pound. By jumping in the air and pressing Z, I'd execute a tight somersault and bring my huge arse down on the ice and crack it, revealing treasure underneath.
Hi, I'm Naomi. I'm the sad girl under your bed. I'm just kind of here to make sure that Grant behaves, I believe. I believe that's my official role. And if I were on a boat stuck in the middle of the ice, I would not survive, but I would leave a really interesting corpse, ideally. Like, I want to leave a preserved body that puzzles people for many millennia to come.
Like a real logic puzzle. Oh, they stood on the ice before it melted sort of thing.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking a locked room murder mystery with a gun on an elastic.
Yeah.
Hello, I am Edward Spence. I am a very happy forever GM floating between channels. My first experience of Heart was with Grant. He ran a very wonderful final fundraiser for DAGGER and Heart, and we continued playing so long as there were donations incoming. Yeah, that was my first experience. I'm thrilled to be here, and if I was stuck in the ice, I imagine we would have done some whaling or some fishing, so there's probably some handy sawfish around I'd probably use to try and cut my way through the ice, I think.
And move around the circle, it's me. I'm Kieron Gillen. I should probably introduce myself. I'm the GM. I played Spire, and then I backed Heart. I backed most of RRD stuff.
Most?
Most, yeah, most. I'm not very, what's the word, organised, so I'm sure I've missed something. You know what I mean? I've bought everything I've seen.
You haven't bought Die yet, to be fair. You did also write a game with us, which is probably worth mentioning.
Oh, yeah. Plugging Die, and I wrote Die for RRD, which is a game based on one of the comics I wrote. If I was trapped in the ice, I feel like, Nathan, I would definitely be very dead. And I feel like I'm the oldest of the players here, so I think I would, probably be weak and confused. I was a games journalist, and I became a comic book writer. I have the least practical survival skills of all time. Heart. The basic concept of Heart is imagine a spire, which is the opposite, as you imagine, of something beneath the ground, which is where the heart is. Its origins are unknown. It's populated by dark elves who were in a war against high elves and lost badly. And this whole place is an awful kind of state ran by high elves, who in this universe are complete bastards. But that's not the whole story. Beneath this spire, there is the Undercity, the city below, and then we have the heart, this pulsing thing beyond comprehension. It knows one thing, which is what you want, and it will kill you trying to give it you. In Heart, you play adventurers, weird adventurers, to be precise, who go into the heart to try to find their heart's desire. What that means changes for all the characters particularly, because they're a bunch of weirdos. And one of the core parts of the game is your advancement pushes towards your end of your arc. Across these X number of sessions, we're going to take these 4 characters and push them to their ultimate fate. Right, we're going to go through character generation here. Everyone's picked their classes, and you want to sort of say who they are and sort of build from there. Like, okay, Nathan, what are you picking?
Sure. I have played a handful of times and wanted to go for a class that I haven't seen played yet. So I'm going for the Witch, somebody who is very both psychically and emotionally connected to the nature of the heart, and uses that to transform themselves in a way that others don't quite understand. And maybe they don't understand it themselves, but it is great, terrifying, and beautiful.
That's brilliant. Grant, what did you pick?
I picked a Junk Mage. I think Junk Mages are pretty much my pet class in the game. I love them very much. They are absolute disasters. And so I'm going to play like a Warlock, but my patron doesn't know I exist, and if they did, would probably kill me.
That's great. Naomi?
I kind of felt like it would be a bit of a shame to do a heart AP without a deep apiarist, if I'm honest. So I'm playing bees.
What AP stands for.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing full of bees. Yeah, that's what's important to me, as being full of bees.
Apiarists are like, be crazy, it's delightful. And Ed, you picked?
Last time I played, I was one of Grant's disaster pets, but this time I will be playing Deadwalker. Individuals who operate within the liminal space between the living and the dead.
They're also like complete weirdos. It's great. In these character classes, there's a lot to love there. Okay, there's 4 basic species people play in Heart. The Drow or Dark Elves, who are black, white, or monochromic, bored of spiders and other things like that. Fascinating people. Humans, who are basically like annoying techno-archaeologists in this universe, is my paraphrase.
Yeah, they're quite close to gnomes in D&D, but taller.
Yeah, tall gnomes is how you should think about humans, and genuinely like annoying and poking their noses in places. The Elfir, aka the High Elves, because you can tell the High Elves because they have a funny name for themselves. They're mask-wearing poshos with names with hyphens in. That's generally their vibe. Though if they actually end up in the heart, they're normally a bit more bearable, because frankly, if you're in the heart, something's gone desperately wrong in your life, and that's the best thing that happens to High Elves, really. And Gnolls, who are basically, from the far south, jackals, demon worshippers. They're at war with the High Elves, which is on their side. A lot of stuff going on with them. And they're lovely furry muzzles.
I was going to go Elfir, but then Ed went Elfir, and I was like, ew. So I'm going to be a Gnoll.
Hooray!
I'm going to be a big lesbian Gnoll.
Anything with the word Gnoll sounds like a great t-shirt slogan. You know what I mean? There's something that really makes me think about that. Grant?
I'm going for Drow. I started off again with an Elfir, and then Ed played a bloody Elfir. But the Junk Mage I quite like as a sort of underdog character, and the elves are very much our underdog ancestry, so I'm going to go with that.
Cool. And Nathan?
I guess we're doing the full sweep of the different species we can play. I am a big cyberpunk nerd at heart, so playing as somebody with a techno-archaeologist background delights me personally. So I'll be playing as a human in this.
Just for a change.
Answer one of the following questions when you made your character. Naomi, question is 1.
Mm-hmm.
Your background. You travel to the heart in search of something specific. You're part of a team, or you're on your own. What did you find? Did you find what you were looking for? The second one is you fled Spire. You're an escaped prisoner of war, a refugee, or an agent on a clandestine mission. And alternatively, you were born down here. So which is your kind of background? Either you travelled here, fled Spire, or been born down here.
So for me, I think my character's travelled down here, and what I'm looking for is my hands.
That's interesting, Naomi. Tell me about your hands.
Well, I don't have any. It's a difficult life, but luckily I'm full of bees. My character's backstory is that the night of her wedding, her fiancé chewed through her wrists and stole her hands and went into the heart. So I'm looking for my ex and also my hands.
It's like the handmaiden kind of sort of vibe.
When the hand biting occurred,
Mm-hmm.
were you like down in the south in the desert lands in your big sort of shimmering silicon cathedrals, and there was some sort of horrible portal opened up in your fiancé?
Yeah, I think my fiancé was maybe some sort of Gnoll scientist,
Mm-hmm.
and they were being driven mad by something in the heart.
Mm. Yeah, resonance.
And so they made the choice to chew off my hands.
I've got it!
Not an ideal ceremony, but we did have the mason jars and like the little bunting, so like 9 out of 10 really.
Just to make sure I understand, the marriage actually happened there, but the actual event brought you to the heart. Is that
Yeah.
right? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's an interesting wedding, techno-magic wedding. That's perfect. I'm going to move on to the other people. There's one more question for everyone there as well. I'm going to go round to Ed. Ed, you're a high elf. There's 3 options, basically. You still wear your mask, your family name was ruined, or you cling to one luxury. What's your vibe?
I think my mask. Yeah, as for what it looks like, I think, unlike many of the masks that are worn in High Elf society, which are full face, this one has been bisected specifically around the jaw area. It only covers the upper side of the face. Lots of beautiful golden filigree around lots of floral patterns that have been beaten away by age and weathering. Because I feel like I'm still figuring out the whys of it all, but he has a prosthetic lower golden jaw.
That's the stuff.
It looks great and also very pawnable. You know, you can, if you find yourself short, you can always sell a little jaw. That's fantastic. Go around to Grant or Drow. 3 options are you're born in the city above, you're born in the city beneath, or you're a traveller from a distant land.
You know, I thought of traveller from a distant land. And maybe I tell people I'm a traveller from a distant land, but I'm definitely Spire-born, like 3rd generation Spire. I think I served the Durance, which is a period of indentured servitude that all Drow have to serve underneath the Elfir, and I was an assistant to a thaumaturge librarian in the College of Divine Magic, who had a lot of weird books which I stole and read and probably smoked. Yeah, drove me down a dark path.
Libraries, dangerous things. And finally, we have Nathan, who is human. When you say that in a game, it always sounds weird. You know what I mean?
If it helps, I don't think Nathan is human. I think Nathan's definitely an android. I think they said that at the beginning.
That is true. You're either from the Eastern Kingdoms, you were kicked out of a rector engineering or magical college, or you're 3rd generation Heartborn.
Considering the class I have picked, being 3rd generation, makes a lot of sense here. A human in name only, as I like to kind of describe myself in most instances in and out of game. It has a follow-up question of what incorrect assumption do people often make about me, assuming that I am operating like other humans do. So since humans in the setting, as mentioned, are relatively techno-archaeological or techno-magical, I have a feeling a lot of them self-augment as just part of what they want to do in their kind of daily lives to get things done as a practical measure. And my character is currently entirely organic, where they would be like, well, you don't have, like, metal ribs to prevent yourself being caved in the heart? No? Am I supposed to?
That's interesting. Especially because, like, as a witch, you're more hearty than most people. Because, like, what we didn't mention is the point, the witch is, it's basically a blood disease. It's almost that the heart has got a bit of you. The heart, you know, and that's kind of like you're extra fleshy almost.
110% flesh, baby.
Get another t-shirt. Perfect. I've done everyone now. Everyone starts with 2 items as well. And these are kind of like, you know, they get kind of complicated, exciting bits of equipment that might be useful. These are not those. These are the plot prompt ones which kind of are fun to do. You can either pick or roll twice on the list, or I can roll twice. Let's reverse again and go to Nathan. Do you want to pick a roll, Nathan?
Sure. I would love for you to roll for me, please, so we can see a live example.
Dice rolling technique. I'm really into the idea of, like, you know, so many games that we don't let have GMs not allowed to roll anymore. It's like, no, let me roll. Let me roll. Let me be free.
It's all an act. It doesn't do anything as the GM.
You have feather tokens to Luxildan, Duke of Air.
Luxillian.
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And harmonica inscribed with Summer Court.
And we expect there to be a harmonica theme that plays, Nathan.
Yeah.
You better be posting up
Cool.
with that.
You're going to have to hire a musician who owns a harmonica. Congratulations.
I own 2 harmonicas now. I found
What do you need 2 for?
they're different sorts, basically. They're different ways of playing
Put them
it.
next to each other and go up and down.
Yes,
Yeah, go.
that's exactly how professional harmonica players do it. They actually play 2 in slightly different scales and bounce between them.
I see. I will say, from a fluff point of view, Nathan's, well, you've rolled 2 quite deep cuts to Spire lore. Luxillian's one of the new gods from the appendix from the Spire core book, who builds. They're called sky shrines. They let you fly, but not very well. And Summer Court is an arcology.
Yes. Wonderful.
Oh, it's Harmonia Summer Court, where trains are from.
Okay,
Whoa.
yes.
There we go.
Love a train in this setting, and if you don't know why, I'm sure you will discover it as we play.
Yeah, it's probably going to come up.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Shall I save this training level pun for later, or save it? Just
Yeah.
say it now?
Hold off on that one. I've rolled already. Honestly, it really came up trumps. I'm very happy with it. I've got a pulp novel loosely based on my exploits, and a brightly coloured headscarf and dark glasses.
Very nice.
Drow are hurt by direct sunlight, so dark glasses and headscarves are quite popular. This entire game is going to take place underground, but I like to think I still wear them as an affectation. I'm thinking probably like a bright saffron yellow, and it's a headscarf, but also it's like a scarf. I trip on it and stuff an awful lot. And the pulp novel I didn't write. I want to stress that, but it shows a, shall we say, sanitized view of my exploits, and perhaps more celebratory than is owed.
Like a biopic of a celebrity.
Yeah, did someone write it, or is it just some random...
Yeah, it's a good question. Pop is like, shall we just leave it open for now? It depends if you've got an answer or not.
I don't have an answer right now. I think having an obsessive fan is really fun.
That's fun.
And
Maybe
so,
one
As
of
a
the party.
creator.
especially if they're willing to follow me down into the heart to write about my exploits and find me, I think that's great fun. So yeah, it was some dork.
Ed, you're a high elf. Do you want me to roll, or have you picked?
On this spectrum of rolling, we've had pre-rolling, live rolling. I've chosen. I've chosen option 5, my spouse's death mask, and I have chosen 16 metal teeth, which is my lower jaw.
You cut out the tagline,
Original teeth removed due to boredom.
which I guess is probably a different thing for you. I don't know whether that's hello.
I mean, we'll get into why I lost my jaw, I guess, but yeah.
Why you were bored? These are all good questions.
Yeah.
Naomi, what about you? Do you want to roll, or do you want to pick? You have all the options open to you.
No, I also picked, for vibes reasons. I'm going to take a book of unsolved mathematical equations, feels the propes, and I kind of want to take hair cutting scissors. Hair cutting scissors, razors, and mirror. I just feel like
Yeah, please.
furry guy, maintenance is important. It was my wedding day.
It seems hugely useful, like a traveling hairdresser in a fantasy kingdom.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah, I mean,
Truly.
admittedly, no hands. So
Think about ZZ Topper's sharp dressed knoll now, in this kind of like.
You can make a swarm of bees carry a hair clipper. If enough of them work together at it, makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like the control is a little bit less than one would hope from a hairdresser. But in the heart, you've only got limited options.
Honeycomb hair pieces. There's a lot going on you could do with bees.
I mean, it's wax, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, free styling gel.
Maybe we're just going to set up a salon. Maybe that's our thing now.
You can't see this because this is a podcast, but Grant just slapped his hands to the side of his face with a look of glee.
Oh, imagine that. Just a horrible, fucked up hairdresser, and that sounds lovely.
I've been to Deptford.
Quite. And that's everyone's equipment. Now we've got our silly equipment. Next thing, shall we do actual abilities for your class, or do you want to choose your goals?
I think we should do calling next, so we can get a bit of a handle on our arc.
There's 5 basic sorts of callings. You can make your own up, and this basically says why you're going into the heart. So in other words, as opposed to games where it's like, what are we doing as adventurers? You've got a real powerful drive of 5 different sorts. Then every session, you basically pick subcategories of your calling, and these are the things that give you XP. So for example, if you choose adventure, there's one, kick someone off a high object. So if you kick someone off a high object, you'll get an advancement. And of course, me as GM, we're trying to put things on high objects to kick off. That's basically it. It's not all about kicking things off high objects, but the way I play it is. But that's the kind of thing. So it varies from small things like that to die betraying your lost love, to make one up off the top of my head. And that's the whole game. So this is the core of the character, what makes them sing. Let's go to Naomi. Which calling did you pick?
The calling I picked was enlightenment, though the enlightenment is where are my hands, where's my wife? That's particularly that's what I would like to be enlightened about.
Life's biggest questions, truly.
Like every Harrison Ford film, except also he's missing both of his hands.
Yeah.
Who took my hands?
I have a particular set of skills, and my skills are no hands.
I didn't cut off my hands! I don't care!
Ed, What you got?
Well, I was going to do Enlightened as well, but
We've taken very different views of it, though, I'd like to point out.
We have. I mean, does anyone feel a particular draw towards Heart Song at all?
So I intend to pick Heart Song, but I have a feeling what we dream about and why are probably pretty different, so I wouldn't stress.
There is enough variety within the beats to have two characters run the same one, then it's not going to be the same.
Even mentioned in the manual, like, even if everyone picked the same one, it gives a kind of different flavour to the campaign. And and it means this is going to be if both of you pick Enlightenment, this is a story about big questions. Like, where's my wife and where are my hands?
The big questions in life. Okay, cool. I'll stick with Enlightenment then. I think because Dead Walkers are usually individuals who died and it did not take. So I think I just want to figure out, why did I come back? Why didn't I die? And perhaps that lies further down.
Grant, what about you?
I'm going for adventure. I like the idea of a dissolute wastrel who is definitely in the better lucky than good sort of category, who's somehow still alive. And because the heart thinks it would be interesting if he didn't die, and channeling that into adventure, because, it also, as Kieron said earlier, kick someone off a tall structure, brackets, they really deserved it. It's pretty much the best thing I've ever written. So I might as well lead into that.
Cool. And finally, Nathan, what are you picking?
I'd like to go for Heart Song, where I dream of visions provided to me by the heart. As the witch, since I have been, I guess, infected with a noble goal is probably the best way to describe what they're about, being given a constant reminder of the heights I should be achieving while sleeping. Sounds appropriately tragic and relatable.
Excellent. All these callings give you a core ability, which I don't think we need to go into right yet. They'll turn up in play, but basically they're kind of linked to, what you're doing. And there's also 5 questions. So reverse, I'm going to go down the list in each one. Nathan. Mm-hmm. Which 3 images, symbols, people, or creatures do you repeatedly see when you dream?
Yeah, I know one of them, and I would love to workshop the other 2 with y'all, since that's what I love about doing character generation with other people. I want to say that one of them is like a flowing, sparkling purple liquid. Is it like alcohol? Is it a river? We don't know, but it's a radiant, unusual shade of violet. Flowing violet water.
The second one?
Let's do...
A particular number could be interesting.
Oh, a number. Okay. Yeah.
Also a sound. I think a sound is also very interesting.
My favorite number, I don't know, is it normal to have a favorite number? My favorite number is 6, which I think actually has an actual logical, mechanical tie-in to how Deep Apiarist works sometimes. So I like that. I like that synergy. So yeah, the number 6 and a sound. Did you say?
Yes. This is an audio format, and I think it would be good.
I want to say like the sound of like creaking ice. When you get like the audio of like an iceberg shifting.
It's like sings, and it sounds a bit like train tracks when a train's too far away to hear the engine, but the rails are.
Yeah, it's something resonant but also faintly dangerous. Yeah, the sound of ice cracking.
That's good. Keening, purple fluids of mysterious origin, and the number 6. Grant, what drove you out of the city above?
I say it was a sort of, an ennui. I don't know how posh I'm going to make this character. I say it was a sort of ennui, and that really the true power lay in the heart. But just as much as that, I pissed too many people off. I ran out of friends. I slept on too many sofas. I stole quite a lot. Well, not microwaves, but something akin to microwaves. And pawned them off. I'm just
air fryers.
Air fryers. Yeah. I'm just a terrible friend. And I decided that maybe I could come and hang out down here in a sort of, fine, I'll make my own adventure sort of way.
Brilliant. Ed, what impossible thing are you attempting to achieve in the city beneath?
I think, and maybe this is too abstract, let me know if so, but I think I just want to understand how different people experience their afterlife. Because Deadwalkers can they can sidestep into the grey, which is this liminal space between heavens and the living and the dead. I feel like by guiding people into this space and just kind of observing how they behave in that space, I think he just wants to understand, how does death work the way it does, and why does it choose to spit some people back? I know that's quite a large concept, but yeah, I think he just wants to understand why he isn't beyond.
It's also not impossible, is the other thing. It has to be an impossible thing. Could I, and please feel free to refuse this, but because the impossible thing you're trying to find is your own death, because it just isn't taking.
Ooh, I like that. Yes, I like that a lot. I'm happy to go with that, I think.
I think it'd be fun almost as well to phrase it as to find your death. Like it's just out there hanging out somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know it's interesting. By saying that,
Lovely.
we've defined that as impossible as well. As it's not like your death is an easy place. You know, it's literally impossible. So your death will be somewhere you can't get it.
Yeah. No, I love that.
Naomi, same question to you.
The impossible thing that I'm trying to achieve is to figure out why the things happen to me, essentially. Like, for me, it's like, hey, why did my wife do that? And I feel like it would be nice if that was physically beyond my reach. I don't know if that's sufficiently abstract.
Everything's physically beyond your reach now.
I must say, I've immediately thought about how that's outside your reach. So I can make that... you don't know it's outside your reach, but it certainly is.
Yeah.
Because who can truly know anyone else?
And also, I think, like, getting back your hands.
Yeah, I kind of assume that that's also not gonna happen.
It's definitive enough.
You can hurt the bee's feelings.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
They're lovely bee hands. I'm going to reverse the order now and go start with Naomi. What is the first step in your journey towards this impossible thing?
The first thing is I've got to find someone from this fucking wedding to be like, hey, what did you see? Because my wrists were getting chewed through and I kind of missed what was going on. Help. I feel like I'm looking for a second witness.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Perfect.
I would happily take, like, my mother-in-law, my wife's maid of honor, someone who knew what was going on with them, who wasn't getting their wrists tuned through,
And they have all bounced. None of them checked up on you afterwards. That's
No!
brutal.
The dog who was
No.
carrying the rings.
Yeah.
Yeah. The flower knoll.
So did almost everyone at the ceremony disappear and leave you standing there at the altar? Literally standing at the altar?
Yeah, so I think there was like... And then my hands and my wife disappeared into a portal. And then there was just sort of this catastrophe. And I was like, okay, that was definitely the heart. Like, I know what was on the other side of that door. And yeah, I think I had to walk to Spire and be like, I would like an entrance to the heart, please.
One heart, please.
I'm looking for my hands.
That's perfect. Like I say, looking for anyone at the witness and hopefully piece it together. Possibly literally. Ed, what about you? What's the first step?
I think finding someone else who, not necessarily another dead walker, but finding someone who can step back out. I don't think I've found that yet, but I think I keep inviting people to sidestep into the grey. I keep checking out cadavers, seeing if anyone gasps back to life, spend a lot of time hanging around mausoleums and graveyards, just like, prodding people, Grant. I think the first step of my journey, finding someone like me, someone who lived.
Yeah, someone who knows more than you and, Dead Walker Gandalf is what you're looking for.
Basically.
Grant, adventure. You and another player character barely escaped from a dangerous situation recently. Who was it and what happened?
I think Nathan's character sounds like the most fun. The dead elf here sounds pretty gloomy. So fuck it, yeah, it was the dead elf here. That's much better. Yeah. I managed to rope the dead elf here into an inadvisable scheme. We were stealing bodies from a cemetery.
My next question, I actually have another idea as to how we could potentially be connected as a junk mage. I quite like the idea. Basically, waking up in an unfamiliar environment, I imagine I just need to find people who are on the same level. Mm-hmm. And I feel a junk mage... I like the idea that guiding someone into the grey gives someone a little bit of a high when mixed with, mushrooms and stuff like that.
Okay.
One of the things that I have access to as a thing are dream mushrooms. And I like the idea that heady mix, come step into the grey while, imbibing.
Jesus Christ. Taking mushrooms and travelling astral. Yeah, perfect, yeah.
So maybe that's how we made our initial connection. And I was like, hey, you know where the dead bodies are?
We barely escaped from a dangerous situation. It was nothing. We were not robbing graves. We took effectively mescaline and then stepped sideways into purgatory. And it was the definition of a bad trip. I like to imagine like our own ghosts started hunting us. It went really, really badly, and then thankfully we were able to focus ourselves, eat some orange slices, and just get through.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like
to think we were in a derelictus boarding house. Actually, no, Peace Street's fucking perfect. Peace Street has dead people in it already. So we're hanging out in a Peace Street boarding house, doing drugs in the attic. It was really, really dangerous. We shouldn't have done it. And I want to do it again immediately.
The best laid plans.
Perfect. Nathan, you're a witch. What signs do you look for to recognise where the heart is strongest?
Yes, I was having a think about this. So if I'm kind of sticking to my theme of the things that are beautiful are also the things that are imminently dangerous or terrifying, it feels like surface comforts that you wouldn't expect to see in the heart, but the heart is one to grant desires. So is giving you impossible things like sunlight in a place is like, oh, that should not be happening down here. This is definitely where the place where desire fulfillment is at a prime density. Bird song, fresh air, one of those kind of, this should be normal and pleasant, but is a sign of ill portent.
Those custard creams are cursed. Look at how nicely they're laid out.
I love the energy of a kind of like an Alice in Wonderland Fey Court kind of thing, where it's like fruit trees or like sweet smelling flowers, that kind of like, oh, this area is so pleasant. This tree smells like gingerbread. Get away from that. What are you doing? Like plants made from sweets, that kind of twisted fairy tale energy.
I mean, like, this witch energy is interesting in that kind of, it's the classic gingerbread house, you know. I like that. Yeah.
In a previous incarnation of this character in my brain, they were named Hansel. So, yeah.
Thanks for reeling it in.
Right, we're going to loop back in the opposite direction, Nathan. You recently witnessed an unearthly sight with another player character. Who was it? What happened? And how did they react?
If we'll allow some dramatic irony, so the knowledge isn't immediately aware in the circumstance that we've met each other, where Naomi's wife appeared on the portal to the heart that like opened, it just so happened that my character was in that scene at the time on the other side. So a mysterious figure flees the scene, and I'm like, well, that's actually surprisingly normal, but okay. And it's like, that woman on the other side does look incredibly upset. I'm sure.
I really like the idea of this ravening hole in space and time, and the pair of you just like curb your enthusiasm and at each other through it. Like, what the fuck? And just shut.
Yeah, my hands.
In those weird moments where you see somebody in public and you're like, do I know them? I know them, right? And by that point you've walked past each other.
The point where you wave and you're like, oh wait, that's my dentist. Like, yeah.
So we've maybe coincidentally the fates have reconvened us now, but actually we have seen each other before on the worst day of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a very normal day of yours in that way. That kind of, yeah. I like that.
Third wedding that day.
Yeah. Also, I'm playing with that. Yeah, there's something interesting about like how many weddings has this thing snatched?
Yeah, I really like the idea.
Seriously, I've got some notes here. Let's. This may actually happen.
Okay.
Okay, we move back to our adventurous friend.
Hello.
Recently, you and another character returned from a delve with an item for a wealthy patron. They wouldn't give it up. Why, and what was it?
So I figured this is referring to the other character.
Yeah.
I feel like Nathan and I, our characters are a pair of party boys and we're ready to rock. What I want to try and do is bring my character a bit closer to Naomi's character, because at the moment there's an element of she is a mad hyena woman with no hands who's kicked in the door.
Yeah.
And of course the bees. So
The bees.
I think you rocked up here, but like this isn't your first day in the heart. You're riddled with bees by now. So
I'm looking for the wedding reception. There you are, at a party.
I get the impression that you are a wealthy patron, which may have been true when you started walking to Spire, but I'm not sure whether that's really panned out.
Yeah.
And actually, we're pretty much on the same level. So you wouldn't give up because it's from your wedding. That's why. What artifact from your wedding has made it through, which we were tasked to steal? The idea I had was like a silicate bouquet of crystalline flowers.
That's good. I was also thinking like a slice of wedding cake is so fun. A preserved slice of wedding cake, like how people keep it for their like first anniversary or whatever.
Yeah. You know, people talk about frosting. The idea is actually properly frosted in a stasis anti-time field. You know, the idea is properly, like, I got the image of this cake, you know, the idea this cake is magically infused, so it actually it will become ripe to eat in 100 years' time, so you can celebrate your 100th anniversary. You know, that kind of like...
I feel like the bouquet is very pretty.
Yeah.
But it's not gag, is it? Like,
No.
that's just a bit tragic, and it also means you have to carry around a load of glass flowers.
Yeah.
With no hands!
With no hands.
So yeah, okay, yeah, you know what, it was a...
I mean, you're welcome to say it was the fucking... What's the suspender thing that they make you take off at the fucking... You know, the little...
Garter?
Like a garter.
Yeah, like a garter.
I was saying that hyena
Fucking
weddings is
Noel
interesting. Yeah.
That's a matriarchal culture. I thought they did have a crystalline thing. I think maybe, like, there was a crystal rose on top of your cake.
Yeah, for sure.
This weirdo Althea hedonist is down here being like, I've heard tell there's a magical cake. It's come in from afar, from the mysterious land of Almirah. I summoned it in the wedding. I did say that. But basically, you've got fairy food.
Yeah.
And we get there, and we've been tasked with getting it, and you realise, one, it's your cake, and two, a rat's eaten most of the cake part.
Yeah.
There is this beautiful crystalline rose you're not supposed to eat, layer of icing, layer of marzipan, and a little bit of fruitcake underneath.
And a rat.
And the rat, and that's currently your greatest clue.
Yeah.
Oh, it was recent? Like, this rat is like, I'm so satisfied from having eaten this cake that has fallen into my lap.
He's just a fat little guy.
Yeah, like
He's just
that.
a fat little guy and he's gone to sleep in there.
Cake's still in him. You can get it out.
I've got the image of you just forlornly in your kind of apartment with the rat in front of you staring at it, looking for a clue to where your wife is, as the rat just rubs its belly.
I feel like the deal is you shake the cake and the rat is like this in there, and I'm just like always trying to get the rat fucking out.
Oh, the cake box still contains the rat.
No,
I
the
see.
slice of cake, like he's hollowed away inside the way that rats do for like a loaf of bread. And I'm like trying to get the rat out of my wedding cake. Sorry, I just had a really strong visual image there.
I think it's great. I think do that because basically the thing that you could have destroyed the cake and get it open, but that would of course be destroying the cake, and that's the last thing you want to do, which is like really sad and poetic. And there's a rat metaphorically, you have a rat in the celebration of your wedding, which of course is beautiful. So I think that's beautiful and funny, which is the best thing.
I think my wife is the rat in this metaphor. I'm not sure.
I think that
Your
you're
wife is the wife in this.
We'll
metaphor.
find out. We will find out.
Is my wife the cake in this metaphor?
Yes!
Is the heart the rat?
Ah.
The rat is the rat.
It works on many levels. Ed, choose another player character. They've been invaluable in your journey so far. What have you learned from them?
I mean, I feel this is probably your character, Grant, given our bad trip, but if I'm waking up in this strange alien environment, I've probably learned most of my geography about the place from you and your ravings, I'd imagine.
I really like the idea that I've started behaving as a sort of servant, except I'm completely exploiting you. You can't tell.
100%. I love that.
Yeah, cool. Very good, sir.
Cool.
There we are.
It's giving Jeeves.
Yes.
I don't think you need to use that on Grant to have that relationship. It's like the fact you both got ones back and forth. I'd rather give it to another player just to try to mix up the group a bit.
Yeah. Mix it
Cool.
up, but,
Okay.
but also I've definitely been playing you.
Yeah. I mean, I think you.
Oh, 100%.
This image is great in terms of like the posho elf and your kind of like down a heel mate who's manipulating. That's brilliant.
I'd be down to kind of offer that kind of back and forth with my character, since it's now my job to be able to navigate and understand the heart, whether I previously wanted to or not.
Yeah, you're plugged in
so
down
there
here.
is a decent amount of information that I probably have to share with you.
Yeah, no, that'd be great.
I guess now that you are in the circumstance you are in, being able to throw hands is now part and parcel of the process. But was that something you were willing to do before?
Ixnay on the ands, hey, Naomi.
Sure.
I would deliberately say here, like, don't make a throw hands joke. Don't make a throw hands joke. It's like,
Right.
I
Sorry.
thought I'd say it in Pig Latin to throw off Nathan, who I believe is under 30, so has no clue what the fuck I'm talking about.
But yes, in terms of, was your character before they died combat ready? Were they willing to fight now that they're in a...
No, absolutely. Like, pleasure only. I think now he's sort of a desperate rake of a man, so I think he'd probably require some kind of someone who's willing to engage in physical altercations, if only that he can then examine the aftermath of it and see if anything's twitching.
I very much let you down every time that's come up.
So, yeah, no, that would be incredibly useful. Like, probably you don't see it as this, but I'm probably like, ooh, good, a bodyguard. This is useful.
Mm-hmm.
I may even have learned about the location of the heart from you then. Maybe that was like a concept I wasn't really that aware of being hidden.
Yeah, you've been given the basics of heart navigation. Go deeper, I guess, if you have to. Oh my god.
Deeper, you say? Down? Interesting. Okay.
We've got these two archetypes. Essentially, you've got Nathan as this kind of like the witchy heart knowledge, and Grant as like, idiot.
Yeah.
Between the two of them.
No, I do like the idea that we both have the same facts. It's just our opinions on those facts are very different.
That's fun. Naomi, what about you? Choose another player character. They've been invaluable with your journey so far. What have you learned from them?
I think that I was also on the same carriage as Ed into the moving of heart situation. Yeah, I don't really have anything massive from that. I feel like
As Ed's corpse.
Because Ed's body was thrown down, right? I like that's funny though. Like you're on like some kind of freight carriage service. Like that was the easiest way to get where you need to go. And it's like, oh,
yeah.
I'm sharing this train car with a coffin. Great, cool.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking about Nathan being a guide for Ed's character in the heart with your witchy knowledge, and then being like, well, I also need a guide to the heart and a witchy knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But we're also people who are at a wedding together. And I feel like that's maybe too many sticks in one boat.
I guess, I wasn't directly at the wedding, right? We saw each other, and there's been like a fated reunion of this kind of thing.
Your eyes met across a crowded portal.
I think I'd prefer someone who was there, who might have been there with the whole bees thing happening.
I'm your man for bees.
Great.
But we
Great.
already have history as well. I don't know. Let's see if we can tie together the dead
Me
walker and the
Ed.
bees.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Maybe I was like, the only way that my wife could have betrayed me is because she's dead. It's the only possible explanation. She's got to be around here somewhere, right? Like,
Just like scrying for her soul in purgatory.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that. Because I like the idea that however long ago my character woke up, he's basically just been selling his services as someone who's like, I can help you sidestep, and maybe that's how I came into your periphery, maybe?
I think I was like, I really need to get to the Grey to find my wife. And then I fucked it up. And I just like sidestepped somewhere completely fucking wrong. Like I didn't do whatever was required of me, and then I got into bees. I feel like there's like some necessary steps, something about like intent and focus that I just didn't have.
Like, is it an accidental bees? Are they actual like honest to God glyph marked bees, or do you want to reimagine it for a different thing about the wedding? Do you want to like?
No, I feel like that's an incidental thing that happens for being in the heart. As far as I'm concerned, I'm like, I'm a knoll. Don't worry about it. Looking for my wife. And then it's like, the heart is also here, and the heart has like its own thing going on with you. Uh-oh, you've stepped on some bees, and now you're made of bees.
Considering there's a theme of desires being granted, but not in the way that you would hope or expect. Were you in a position where you like, I desperately need the help to be able to function, and reality was like, bet, we can build you some hands.
Where we're going, you won't need hands. Bees.
Bees.
Just so, since we haven't really talked much about what the depaperist, except for that saying the word bees a lot, which is, to be honest, about 95% of what the depaperist is. Bees. Like, what they are in the kind of the fiction is forces of order against the chaos that is the heart. So in that they kind of almost picture the paladin type role. These are kind of like desperately fighting a rearguard action against collapsing reality. So there's a kind of like you finding the bees finding you, and you being desperate enough to take them in that moment is pure depaperist.
You're covered in bad magic from the wedding portal, and you're unstable, and you kept glitching out. You kept sort of like translocating or apparating, and the bees found you.
Yeah, and stabilized me.
Maybe one of those like phasing in and out maybe took you into the Grey. Maybe? Is that a thing? And then...
Into the grey, and then you had to take me back.
Yeah, because then I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here? Come on. And like grabbing you and sort of bringing you...
I was writing poetry on a rooftop in Purgatory.
But yeah, maybe you just glitched into the grey and I just helped you sidestep out of there.
What did you learn from that trip into the death?
I learned that some things are beyond my ken, I think. I cannot uncover this knowledge by myself.
That's great. Starting with Naomi. Choose another player character. You know they're hiding secrets from you. Why do you suspect they're doing that?
I think that is Junk Mage. I think that I told you my woeful backstory to try and be like, don't take my wedding cake. And you were like, yeah, a wedding cake and some hands.
I could smoke this. So...
I think you showed more recognition than maybe a person should.
Yeah, I like the idea that, like, I know about what's happened to you and I'm interested.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's fun.
You're like, knoll hands. A pair of knoll hands with a wedding ring. Interesting.
I've seen no hands without wedding rings on, but that can't be it.
Yeah.
Ultimately suspicious because Grant's character has way too many books. Ed, same question for you. Choose a player character. You know they're hiding secrets from you.
I mean, because I've had two that have been aimed at Grant and Nathan, I reckon maybe it's to do Naomi with... I mean, do you reckon we would have discussed why you appeared in the grey? Do you think that's something we would have talked about, or...?
Yeah, I think maybe there's something about the hive and the perfect order that maybe rankles with the idea that you should have died and you haven't. There's something about, like, should-haves that the hive offers that the heart maybe doesn't, and that I should have some sort of understanding of why the ordered thing, which was for you to die, didn't happen.
So maybe if in terms of, like, why do I suspect you're keeping secrets, if... I feel my character's probably quite paranoid, despite trusting a crazy little junk mage and a witch. I feel like maybe you hold the key somehow. I'm not sure how. There's something about, like, you are being held together by something, by bees, and that I see as somehow integral to, like, the nature of the heart itself, and I feel you don't want to tell me that because that's precious knowledge.
I think maybe I said something about, like, I should have died, but I decided I wasn't going to. Like, that was an active choice.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait. How come you're allowed to make active choices about living or dying?
Yeah, no, I like that a lot.
I wonder what kind of field of study your wife was involved in, considering that you have, I assume, one of her books that you kind of can't process. And maybe, I don't know how easily you would want to let other people read that, but that feels like if they're learning dangerous, impossible information, other people would want to know what that is.
Yes.
That's all interesting stuff. Grant, your last question. What's the most dangerous beast or individual you've heard tell of, and why haven't you defeated them yet?
It's this lunatic with no hands and full of bees. But I think, let's go for something a bit more, to connect this with the player character. I think some sort of train dragon, please, Kieron.
Sorry, what, train dragon?
A train dragon. There's rumour of the Vermissian trains awakening and coming back as dragons. And I've heard there's one around here, and I figure that if I can eat its heart or somehow consume part of it, that's gonna push me closer towards the eternal party.
Why haven't you defeated it yet? Is the question.
One, I'm not ready to take this thing on, and two, it's
don't have an Oyster card.
Don't have an Oyster card. It's kind of a myth. It's been mentioned in various bars, and I've been sort of tracking it around, but it's very much a B plot.
Yeah, cool. Finally, the final heart song question. Your connection to the heart has touched you in some way. How does that manifest?
Some of this overlaps quite cleanly onto how the witch works, but also one of the things I want to hit with this character is having to live up to impossible standards of doing their job properly. Maybe what the heart is trying to impart is that there's nothing more joyful than making dreams come true. Make somebody's dreams come true. Surely you're capable. If you're a capable witch, you could guide somebody to genuine joy and contentment, because that's available here for people. And people need my help. I can do that for them.
I love the idea you've become a sort of Kiki's delivery service witch. And like people keep coming to you with their problems, and it turns out that actually you're hugely instrumental in helping them patch their life together, even though it's rescuing their cat, and you're getting really tired of it.
Yeah, there's like either it's like the small mercies, or it's a very much an inadvertent monkey's paw situation. I am helping, and I'm helping in a good way, but that's not what they need, and that's now made their lives worse.
You've sort of been made into an emissary of the heart or an agent of the heart, and so like you're that key player in a lot of other people's stories, and you're not getting any closer yourself.
Yeah. No one seems to be any happier, regardless of how much I'm helping, which is very frustrating.
The thing about that is like the idea that a lot of these kind of heart things like something physical, something like that, and the idea of something like moral, and that's why you have these kind of tiny things you help people with, which kind of burst like pustules, metaphorically speaking, and you do it, and then it's gone.
Genuinely, it's one of the things that drew me to playing as the witch specifically. There's a handful of lore bits and also ability sets that set them as like somebody really helpful in their local community in a way, and I really like that there is a character class specifically equipped to do that, and it being difficult to do, I think, is a cool thing to explore.
Yeah. It's one of those classes with, it's got one of the most familiar names, because everyone's got an idea what a witch is, and it's not that, or it is that, but seen from a different angle. Which I love. Anyway, everyone's now done character stuff. Now we can actually get back to some nice rules, as if it's a proper role-playing game instead of stories. Right, the next step in this game, everyone's got their character class, which they will have picked. We all know that already. They've got some basic abilities, which are things like their skills and what they start the equipment with. They get some core abilities, which all the people of their class get. Then they pick 3 minor abilities and 1 major ability. And we could have basically, imagine if we've just had like about half an hour of everyone flicking through the manual and deciding, and we're going to skip to people talking about what picks they've got. So do you want to give a quick rush down your abilities you've picked? And we'll start with Nathan and go back round again.
Sure, fabulous. I have 3 core abilities, but the key one here, at least in terms of narrative and not worrying about mechanics, is true form. Your skin skitters with barely contained force. The heart's blood within you is waiting to remake you as a flickering, hungry zoetrope horror. Whenever you want to, or whenever you suffer major fallout, you enter into your true form. And when in your true form, you roll with mastery on hunt and kill checks, but all other checks become risky. So while I am transformed, I am incredibly good at going for the throat, but other things are more difficult to achieve because I want my transformation to be something beautiful that it is designed only for killing, yet so radiant, I think is juicy and good and fun. Likewise, I will go for one of the major advances, because it also kind of helps inform the direction of its character. Great and Terrible. You unlock the power of your true form, an awe-inspiring union of magic and flesh. You are no longer forced to assume your true form when you take major fallout. When you choose to enter in your true form, all adversaries who can see you take stress, and a minor modification to that is when I transform, they are also like stunned into inaction. They are so awed by this sight of wonder in front of them that they then don't see the sight of wonder extend claws and fangs and move closer. As for the other kind of minor stuff, so the abilities that you can gain can be big mechanical stuff, but also stuff like gaining access to some of the skills and domains that we use to roll dice better, which I might be boring and pick ones that let me be consistent at things I want to be able to do regularly.
Yeah, it's one of the ones, you haven't got a kill skill, it gives you mastery on kills, so it's that kind of like, maybe I'll pick kill to be able to murder people.
So Cursed is the version of Occult, but for the heart. So Ramble Weird. You're well versed in exploring and surviving the places most connected to the heart itself. Sometimes you do it for pleasure. You gain Cursed, and then once per session, when you're in an area with a Cursed domain, remove D6 stress from resistances of your choice as you go for a nice walk.
Oh, yes. I love the idea of going for a nice walk through the terrors. And then we get to describe what autumn in the heart looks and feels like, which I think would be very cool. I'm currently building myself to be very wide in terms of domains, but I think this makes sense for this character who's traveling around a lot and meeting lots of people. So I will take Distinguished Lineage as my other final minor ability. Your blood mothers, for whatever that entails in setting. And in terms of, they may not necessarily be mothers, who knows?
It's the same as a drag mother.
The blood fam have operated in the city beneath for centuries. You carry the weight of their actions and their promises on your back. Gain Haven, as a domain. Once per session, when you mark stress to a bond, do not roll for fallout. And I like the idea of being able to rely on the people who once relied on me as a back and forth there.
That's nice. Now, your character's really like between your relationship with everyone else. You're the character who knows shit. You've been places. You're really like the heart of the team. No pun intended.
Mm-hmm. And I'm like, please don't look at me as being the person who holds this together. I'll die.
That's wonderful. What a great energy. That's fantastic. And like you can't let any of us know that really you don't like doing this.
Mm-hmm.
That's your kind of. It seems to be a nice thing to do. The heart is making me do, and I don't want to do it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Eldest sibling energy at the moment.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's great. I like that. Yeah.
So we have food at home, sort of. Mm-hmm. Right, Grant. What about you? What junk magian stuff did you get?
So for my major, I've chosen the Curse of the Sky Court. The fluff behind the Sky Court is they are a noble house of fae or fairies who were cursed eons ago and have been trapped in an eternal moment of pleasure, which they believe can only end. And so, what Curse of the Sky Court does? It's an instant party ability. I roll Compel plus Occult, and then everyone decides that it's a good idea to have a party, which is mainly used for distractions, but it's also kind of a fun thing to have. And then I've upgraded that one with Ecstasy, both the drug and the minor ability Ecstasy, which lets me focus it on someone in particular. So it kind of becomes an attack power, except they are absolutely driven to engage whatever hedonistic urge they can. And depending on how weird they are, whether it's like, I don't know, a bear with the face of a dog and 8 wings, what it needs is different from what a normal person needs. But it lets me overload someone's brain with base pleasure. And then for my other 2 minors, I've gone for Mark of Hunger. You can taste the power slumbering in the city beneath, and you want it more than anything. I get the Delve power, and mainly as a gift to you, Kieron. I can smell sources of magical power. Different types of magic have different scents. The relics of the moon beneath have the aroma of wine and butter. Necromancy smells like Nujabian cafe, and the occult technology of the Vermisian resembles malt and rich tannins. So I can smell magic. And then the other one I've taken is Frontier Etiquette, which means I can get on with people. I gain the Haven domain, and the first time each session I use a haunt, which is a way that in relatively safe locations we can use them to remove kind of ongoing problems or fallout from our characters. My spent resource, whatever I trade, counts as 1 dice size higher, so I'm able to wheel and deal and get what I want. But I think that's more tying into the words of my exploits have reached ahead of time, and so people might be excited to speak to me.
That's cool. I'd really dig it.
I forgot to mention my core abilities for the Junk Mage. I get 2 of them, and one of them means that I roll with Mastery when I cast spells, which is pretty much any time I say I'm casting a spell, as long as I have 4 or more mind stress. So I want to try and stay in that sweet spot of slightly deranged but not broken. And I also have something called Sacrifice, and I can take resources with the Occult tag. I can smoke, or eat, or consume, or snort, or what have you, and that gives me armor equal to the size of the resource dice when I cast my next spell. So I can make myself. It's much safer for me to cast spells as long as I can keep snorting magic salt.
So we've got these party person, witch useful. What about what's Ed bringing to the table?
I bring death. So the main thing about the Deadwalker is that they are followed by a manifestation of their death that is invisible and intangible to everyone but you, although when you are on the verge of dying or in places that resonate heavily with death and sorrow, it might become visible. Essentially, it protects me by inflicting stress on whatever harms me, and I also have the ability Enter the Grey, where myself and anyone I wish to bring can sidestep into a shadowy echo of the living world. As my major ability, I've decided to take Descent, which means when in the Grey, I get access to one of the 8 heavens, and for this I have chosen... Oh no, I get access to 2, so I will choose the Grail Road, which is an afterlife for, I believe, champions and heroes.
It's Cormac McCarthy afterlife.
Yeah. And the Palace Multifaceted. I can also, when I use my ability to step between, I can choose an exit point on different points, or rather different tiers, of the heart, essentially, unless I am misunderstanding that.
That's about right. That's very much the abilities which gives you enough rope to hang yourself.
Lovely. I love that.
I will also say, from a lore point of view, Elfir Heaven is the Slumbering Depths, which is the sort of the Kale Forest one. And so if you want to explore Elfir Heaven, Elfir, the predominant religion of Elfir Inspire believe that they go to the Slumbering Depths. Sorry, they experience hell first and then are born, and it's kind of heaven to them. You can do that, but I quite like the idea that you've decided that you're not going to Elfir Heaven and it's somewhere else.
I mean, that didn't work, did it? So it might be one of the other ones.
So I'm just trying my luck playing roulette with all of the other heavens. I also, as my minor ability, I've chosen Last Rite. So when I touch the brow of a recently dead person, I can ask their spirit a single question. Probably, are you coming back anytime soon? And I also have Tattered Soul, which gives me a little bit of protection. And the same with Grail Armor, which I think my armor is probably just put together from various, probably coins laid over corpses' eyes in the hopes that it'll weigh me down enough to take me to some kind of afterlife.
Yeah. That's the stuff. Rocks in your pockets, baby.
Basically, yeah. So I'm basically trying to drown myself into some kind of slumbering depth, seeing as the one I was meant to go to spat me back out.
Naomi, finally, where did you take your bees?
I took my bees to Unchaos. So I have really leaned into the hive being the opposite of the heart, essentially. My main core ability is I'm made of bees, and I can release bees and say, fuck you bees, and hurt people with bees. My major thing is that basically I can roll Men plus Occult to basically decrease the risk for everybody by making things more ordered and less hearty weird. And then I've taken the minor Hiveborn. I can pour all my bees into one single file line and go through a hole instead of just having to break through. I can go through keyholes and warrens and all sorts of jazz.
But it takes like an hour. It's like a very intense
It takes
process.
6 hours.
Oh my god.
There's a reason I didn't take it initially, but then I was like, I don't want just stat improvements. I want something funny. So I've committed to it. And then I've taken many eyes, which means I can see through all my bees as well. So I can see like round corners and in things using the eyes of bees.
That's fantastic. Naomi, that's actually one thing about, like, you're the one person with a knack in Discern. If you take a skill or domain twice, you basically have a hyper specialization in it. So in other words, you might have Discern, you may choose Discern insects, and that means you'll be really good at telling anything about insects, and you get an extra dice. You get what's called in the business mastery.
You get Discern from Enlightenment, don't you?
Yeah, I get Discern from Enlightenment, and I also get it from Many Eyes. So I have it twice.
Yeah, so I mean, you get a specialised, basically, whatever you want to be better at discerning, as in your speciality, that's the thing, and you get an extra dice called a mastery dice. But you can only have one mastery dice from any source. So in other words, if you have mastery in both domain and skill, you only have one dice.
So I have to choose a specialisation.
Yeah, in Discern.
I don't think you need to choose it now. Like, have a think about it, and when we come into play, and let's be honest, I'm not going to hold it against you if you choose at the moment.
Fair dues.
I'm that GM.
Discern hands.
Unironically, discern body language would be an entirely reasonable thing in terms of
having it discern hands would give. I'll completely count that as discern body language. Like, as in, like, you spend your time obsessed by looking at people's hands,
which makes you incredible at poker.
Yeah.
Really good.
Although, again, you have to manipulate the cards with your mouth and feet.
Also, like, if no one can pick your pocket, that kind of, there's a lot of
That's full
reasons.
of bees.
It's true. You reach into the wallet, it's like, hornets.
I meant the other way round, as in you'll be able to good at spot if someone's picking your pockets.
I'll probably be yelling about the bees.
What people do before the first session is we pick these things called beats. I mentioned these earlier. In the callings, you've got a list of stuff that you basically want to happen. And if you make it happen, you get an advance. I'll try to make it happen. Other people will probably make it happen. I like to think of this as stars and wishes turned into an XP session, if you're that kind of like gamer. Let's start with Nathan, please.
Sure. These two just made the most sense at this kind of like early stage. See something from my dreams in the real world.
Like the number 6.
The number 6 of this. If we run into the sound of ice cracking like this early, ooh, oof. And terrify or intrigue an NPC with my obsession. Just the idea of somebody rocking up is like, I can make your dreams come true. Why are you running? I'm helping you.
Just like droopy dog appearing behind them whenever they're running.
Grant, what about you? What you picked?
I've gone for 2 minors. I've gone for make a dramatic entrance that's a risky action, and engage in reckless abandon with drink, drugs, or sex, which I have magic abilities to do.
You're power gaming with your character advancement.
Yeah, power gaming, story game, mate.
Classic power gamer, Grant.
Yeah.
Ed, what about, have you picked now, or?
Yeah, so I think easy enough to do. I'm going to allude to the events that led me to seek forbidden knowledge to achieve my impossible task.
Please do it while standing on a rooftop.
Absolutely. I'd like to meet someone from my old life who's trying to get me to give up on my quest.
That's good.
I came all the way down
Snap.
here to tell you to stop.
That is perfect.
Oh, come home, Searle. Your father's worried about you.
Peter, mother, and me.
I like the idea that there's someone who's like, oh no, you have to get back in the grave. It's empty. Someone else will take it.
We paid a lot for that grave.
Your dad comes down. It's like, do you know how much I spent on that fucking coffin, boy?
And you broke your way out of it. My goodness.
Oh, you've left such horrible nail marks in the lid.
Oh, and it's all under your nails.
I really like the idea that like your funeral was this big fucking deal.
I feel like it was a community like tragedy, and they were like high schoolers with candles and like pictures of your face and shit. You know?
My God.
And they were like, never again. We'll pay for mental health support now. You know, like
If this gets out, we're ruined.
And finally, Naomi, what you grabbed?
gain access to knowledge that someone tried to conceal, and then meet someone from your old life who's trying to get you to give up your quest. She's not coming back. Maybe just move on. The marriage is clearly off.
Put your fucking hands off.
Yeah, that's a red flag, honey. That's a red flag.
Yeah.
We can buy you some really nice prosthetics. Like, I don't know if I've changed. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, you need to wear another outfit. This is embarrassing.
The Bee Bride is a great visual. You know, like
Yeah.
You're not still in your wedding dress, are you?
I thought I was maybe in my wedding chic pantsuit.
Classic.
Feel like it's one of those ones where it's got like the waistcoat but with no shirt. Because I'm a knoll.
Knolls bring their own shirts.
Yeah, they bring their own shirts.
right, everyone. This is delightful.
Thank you for listening to Till Death Do Us Part, a Rowan Rook and Deckard actual play. This episode was produced by Naomi Clarke, with editing by Maddy, Searle and Oliver Morris. The theme was by Nick Seatman, with additional music by Kai Pritchard. The GM was Kieron Gillen. Soil was played by Ed Spence. Velvet was played by Nathan Blades. Castor was played by yours truly, Grant Howitt. And Heike was played by Naomi Clarke. If you'd like to learn more about Heart, the City Beneath, and our other fine role-playing games, go to rrdgames.com and buy something, why don't you?